Yes, I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer. Oh, I will conquer. Rise up and conquer them. Tell them no retreat, no surrender. I shall fight till the end of days. I was born as a Makai warrior, and the Almighty God my blade. Fire burn all Satan carrier. Father loose all shackles and chain. This morning first thing as I wake up, King David told Sam to the brain. Don't let your courage go down, keep it up. And if your heart creep up and sit it up, don't let your faith them fall, pick it up. When my cup was empty, God fill it up. Don't take the devil contract, rip it up. And if your bad mind people to go meet it up, pass me the Congo drum and let me beat it up. God on my side, me no give it up. No weapon that form against us shall not prevail. And no man that rise against us, that war they shall never win. Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them. Thank you, Father. I want to say thank you, Lord. You are everything, Father. Thank you. Father, you alone shall guide me. No man shall lead my path. In the wind I hear your quiet whispers, and you heal my broken heart. Even some of my friends turn enemies, and they pray for right to feel. And remember you give us your only begotten son, but we gave him the wound of life. Send down your warriors with the hello. They carry down to the end of days. No matter how the devil try trick me, unto you my soul I will give. Father, I know this storm is coming. I can see the high tide waves. Without you there is no other. Could there be that really nice? No weapon that form against us shall not prevail. And no man that rise against us, that war they shall never win. Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them. I am a man, I am a champion, I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on 97.5 City Sound FM, 89.5 CRFM, 92.9 Sister Al Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and of course 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live video, whether it's on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, wherever you may be. Good morning to you. It is a beautiful morning once again in the Spice Isle of Grenada. We are all alive. We're happy to be alive. There's a lot more movement now. People are up and about. Now that the curfew hours have been extended from 9 to 11, people feel a lot freer to move about, all right? But as we move about, let's still be conscious of the fact that COVID still exists. It's still around, so we still need to take note of it. We still need to be mindful of that. Now, I do want to make a clarification. Somebody asked me to make sure I make this point clear. And a lot of people have been asking as well about the opening hours or the hours that we've been allowed to use the beaches. It has been moved from, it was normally 5 to 5. That was the last time that we were given. Now we are being informed that that time has thus so far increased. So we are now able to use the beaches from 5 in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning to 11 p.m. at night. All right. So Please keep that in mind. I know there are a lot of people who want to go to the beach. We've been asking if the hours have been extended. Well, here we go. The hours have been extended. Now it is Thursday morning. We've had a wonderful week. We've had a lot of discussion. We've had a lot of information being provided to us. And we want to talk this morning. We want to hear from you. So as Mr. Bowler said, and of course he will be joining us shortly. Yes, he will be joining us shortly. So we want to take that into, keep that in the back of our minds. There's something that I want us to talk about really quickly before we get into the conversation that we expected to have. For the past 2 days, I've been telling us as a people that we need to be careful of the information that is being provided to us, right? I've been warning us that it is very easy, apparently, or they believe that it is very easy to provide misleading information to the people of Grenada. And for some of us, because we have such hate for the administration, we soak it up like sponges and then we squeeze it out on social media. So yesterday, there was an article going around, or a screenshot of a website going around that said Sandy Island was for sale. Now, I received that message about 10 times on 10 different forums. And that's only on WhatsApp I'm talking about. Then I went to social media only to see that people started posting it, reposting it. Oh, are they serious? Is the government serious? Oh, they're selling everything in Grenada. Listen to me. For lack of information, you will be easily misled. And then a lot of people would come with the argument, well, they ain't giving us no information, so what do they expect us to think? I am saying it again. Information in Grenada is not hard to get. Information in Grenada is easy to access. However, you have to want to access that information. A lot of us are comfortable just listening to hearsay and believing it and commenting and forming opinions based on hearsay. We are very comfortable with that. So we don't spend time, we don't take time to do our research. Something comes to you and you feel like you have to respond to it immediately. And that is how we end up in a lot of trouble. That is how we end up in trouble. We don't take time to analyze situations, to ask questions to the relevant authorities to get the facts. We are very comfortable with propaganda. We are very comfortable with sensationalism. We are very comfortable with misinformation. And we feel confident enough to share it. And that is a very big problem that we have here in Grenada. So the research was done for those who cared to do the research. Almost everybody received the same message. But there was varying responses. Some people felt the need to do the relevant research, while others felt the need to use this opportunity to again attack the administration. And it is disappointing, and I keep saying it, that we feel comfortable enough to allow people to mislead us. When we feel like the government has misled us in some way, shape, or form, we are very vocal about it. We go take to social media and we rant and we rave and we say all sorts of things about the members of the administration. However, when we knowingly receive propaganda and misleading information from other parties, the furthest we are able to reach with it is to pull it down off our page when we realize it's misinformation. We don't ever go back and say, well, we're disappointed that we have received any misinformation. We don't take time to research anything. We are very comfortable acting on emotion. We are very comfortable believing and sharing and participating in the comments surrounding propaganda. Good morning, Mr. Bola.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan, and good morning to the listening public. I hear you are at it already.
Yes. I don't know if you received the same information as I did as it relates to the sale of Sandy Island and the manner in which we as a people decided to deal with it. And I was simply saying and making the point that we tend to, when it comes down to or boils down to misinformation, we tend to be very comfortable with sharing it. We tend to be very comfortable with sensationalism. We are very comfortable with exaggerating on a number of aspects. We share them. You get them 10 and 15 and 20 times on your phone. You see them pasted all over social media. But when it comes to facts, when it comes to information that cannot be disputed, when it comes to information that is meant to help build us, to educate us, to give us better knowledge of what is happening in our country, we tend to look at it, shake our heads, and just leave it where we see it. We don't share it. You know, we don't make it our duty and our business to involve ourselves in a conversation, a constructive conversation surrounding this kind of information. But we hear Sandy Island on sale, Mr. Bola, and everybody is up in arms. Nobody decided, well, I shouldn't say nobody, because there are a smart few who decided to find out the information, who were already informed on this, because apparently this was also a political ploy by opposition forces years ago to derail the campaign for election. It was something that was already used. But yet again, because of our love for propaganda and sensationalism, we tend to just eat these things up. Like I said, we soak it up like a sponge and then we squeeze it out on social media. You know, and it's very disappointing, because had we done our research, we would know, right, that most of the islands surrounding Grenada, or Grenadian territories, they don't belong to the state of Grenada. They're not government-owned islands. They're privately owned. And these islands, because they might want to say, Dr. Mitchell, let's sell them too. But these islands have been sold since the 1970s, when Eric Matthew Gary was Prime Minister. See, if we took the time to do our research, if we were interested in the facts, we would not be making a fool of ourselves on social media like that.
Well, Ms. Duncan, I could not have said it any better. However, I think there's one little thing that we're missing. Well, not really missing, but not addressing. You're absolutely on point and very correct that most of these little islands, or little rocks I call them, because the majority of them are little rocks, are not owned by the government and people of Grenada. They have always been in private ownership and have changed hands many times before, not for the first time, many times before. So the issue about Sandy Island, I understand it might have already been sold, I believe. Even this morning I heard on one program that it was sold for $9 million US, I think, whatever. That's not the most important aspect here that we're talking about. We continue to say to people, whenever you get information, doesn't matter who it comes from, try to verify before you spread. Try to ensure that it is authentic before you send it to someone else. I think what we are not addressing is that a long time ago I heard the saying that habits are easy to form, very difficult to change or to let go. Now we have become so used and so accustomed, so dependent on people whom we believe knows the truth, and so whatever they say, we just accept it as being truthful. And while we blame smaller individuals, younger people, people who are new through this information sharing thing, because let's face it, while some of us as seniors may frequent Facebook and some of the other social platforms, the majority of people who populate those things are young people. Many of them totally ignorant to the history of Grenada and the history of the region. Many of them totally unaware of a lot of principles and practices and the way things are done and why they are done. Many of them who never take time to say, let me research, let me verify, let me find out, but just move with the speed of things as they come to them, because the reality is that our society has become very quick-paced now. Patience is something that the word almost doesn't exist again, because people don't know about waiting. You drive up to even a street light, and it is not their time, it is on red or it is on amber, but they think I still have sufficient time to squeeze through before the other driver passes by. They drive up to a pedestrian crossing and they wouldn't look left or right to ensure that if someone is about to cross, that they cross. But even the pedestrians themselves sometimes would see the vehicle almost to the point of the line and they would just dash across, thinking that it is my right. So critical thinking has become a problem for us. Patience no longer exists. Respect for each other's rights. I mean, I drive almost daily. I travel from St. Andrews into St. George's, and you see it all the time. You would learn when you are practicing to drive and when you read the highway codes that if an obstruction is on your side of the road in driving, you ought to stop and allow the other oncoming vehicle to pass, because they have the right of way, as we call it. But many a times you notice that people have an obstruction on their side, but they rev up on you. You has to stop. So if you are not courteous, careful, and respectable enough, and of course, driving with due care and attention, there could be a lot more accidents on the road than there are. And I'm making all this point, and I'm expanding this thing to show us how sometimes, because we get so used to doing things in a particular way, it becomes a habit. It becomes a creature of ours. And there are people who knows better, but they understand these things, and so they throw these things out there on the social media platform, fully aware that there are many of us who will not take the time off to think, to look, to verify, to check, but will just spread it. Because so many of us are only important in building political capital, or so we think, or getting people to follow us, that we do not care who it affects or how it affects us as a nation, the information we put out. But cleverly for a lot of them, they stay behind the scene. They put it out and then they pull back. Knowing fully well that there are a lot of untrained minds out there that will grasp at it and run with it. So this cell business is something that has started a few weeks ago, because talk about, the Prime Minister or the Minister of Tourism sell the Annandale waterfalls to whom? You know? I mean, the issue of commercialization and PPP is something that the government has been talking about for ages.
And I want us to stick a pin there, Mr. Bola, because I want us to, and it's something we've discussed here on the program already, with the minister and with other individuals about the commercialization of these places, because I too
the tourism sites.
Yes, the tourism sites, because I too saw the posts, people talking about the sale of Annandale and so on. And in my mind, I'm saying, should I really respond or provide information on this when this has been spoken about almost, we're in what now? We're in July.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
since
been
last year.
Since last year?
Yeah,
October, November of last year. This was a topic that was widely discussed. So it leads me to one of two things, Mr. Bola. It is either our young people are not interested in the running of the country, and that they are more interested in the sensationalism and the drama and so on that is social media, or it is that they are not aware. You know, they don't care to be aware. They just prefer to be ignorant to the fact of a lot of things that are happening in Grenada. And the opposition forces count on that and use them to drive their agenda.
Well, you are right with both analysis or analogies. You are correct. But there's a missing one still that we need to look at. Even before there was social media, sensationalism is something as a people that we just jump to. We like the gossip. In the neighborhood, a little old talk is going around, you would see little groups gathered. And everybody will, as we would say in local terms, be susuing about it. The neighbor will call the other one. Friends will sit on the block. And nobody ever took the time to say, let me verify from the principles who we are talking about.
Yeah.
Or the people we are making this mention about, did we hear what they have to say? Let's find out.
Yeah.
So that has become a cultural thing ingrained in us as a people. So while you are correct that maybe some of us are not interested in knowing what the truth is, or we don't care about the running of the country and the rules and regulations and what we have to adapt to and not adapt to, but it is also something that has become cultural for us. So it will take a lot. And it will take a lot of strong motivation, a lot of training and teaching.
Yeah.
And for those of us who understand and knows better, we need to also have the patience to constantly be pointing out to people that you don't just run with everything we hear. Not because Mr. Keeler said take something and run. He did say that. But we have to be careful with what we take and run, because we may just take up something someday.
Yeah.
That may be detrimental to our health or our lives.
You're very correct.
So it has become a cultural thing. So you're correct with what you say. In some instances, that may well be the case. But I think the bigger issue here is that is something that is ingrained in us as a people. You see, we have so much time on our hands to meddle and dip into all sorts of things that doesn't really have any effect on us so much times. I mean, I'm not saying that we have to live with the same level of hostility and sometimes the lack of neighborly love and care like some of the other metropolitan states or first world countries, where you walk the street and people don't even say hello to you because they're so intense and minding their business, and time is of such a precious thing to them that they don't really have the time to meddle around too much and find out. It's good that we care about each other, and I will call the neighbor over, or you would wake up in the morning and lean over the fencing or stand in your veranda and call out, neighbors, how you doing? How was the night? Because we, in most instances, have that genuine concern one for another. But entwined in that, we have that level of hypocrisy and this little gossiping thing. I always say to people that hypocrisy and gossip is like a susu. We know what susu is. Everybody in Grenada at one time or the next, if you weren't directly in it, your mother, your grandmother or somebody was in it, and you had to run over by the neighbor or by the shop and pay the susu, and then you hear they talk about the susu. What it means is that you're putting all the time, but one day you will have to collect your hand.
Yep.
So just as you are talking and gossiping about other people, the day will come when you will be the subject of gossip and bad talk. So it's something we have to learn to drop gradually. Gradually.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to be nice and pleasant to each other and say hello. And if you hear of something happening to someone, you show concern or you share it with a friend. But let's take a little more time to verify when we hear things before we spread things.
Absolutely. Now, guys, we're going to open the lines. The number to call is 440-7377, 347-329-3101 if you're in the diaspora. And, of course, if you're calling on WhatsApp or you're sending us a message via WhatsApp, it's also 440-7377. We've had a lot of conversation this week, Mr. Bola, as it relates to the Grenada Cocoa Association and the Grenada Cooperative Nutmeg Association. You won't believe I almost say Grenada Cocoa and Nutmeg Association.
Well, I don't know why you people used to say that. Very early days I used to at one time think that GCNA meant Grenada Cocoa Nutmeg Association.
We've had a lot of conversations surrounding it. We've given a lot of information. We've had a lot of input from the minds that have the knowledge and the background of GCNA and GCA. But now we want to hear from the public. You know, we want to hear from you. What do you understand by the merger and the liberalization? From all of the information that has been provided to you from both sides, what opinion have you formed on the matter? Are you able now to speak with authority as it relates to the GCNA, GCA history and this entire merger debacle? What do you know about what's happening in that area? So we're going to open the lines for you to call, for you to involve yourself in the conversation. You know, and yesterday while we were closing, we say, Mr. Bola, each one teach one. You know, and it's so important because sometimes we sit on all of the information that we have and we feel a sense of power because we have this information and we have these facts, not knowing that the power doesn't lie in having it, but the power lies in your ability to share the information that you have.
And use it wisely.
Exactly. You know, so a lot of us, we believe that, well, I know this, so I can walk with my chest high because I have the power. You know, because I have this information in my craw. But the power doesn't lie with you because you have the information. The power lies in the fact that you can share and impart that knowledge on others, you know, and empower other people as well. You know, and that's so important. So a lot of people, half of the facts, Mr. Bola, that I got on the GCA, GCNA, I didn't know. You know, and I probably never would have known if this issue had not arose. So it's funny that sometimes we sit and we talk about things, and sometimes we feel like we want to give our opinion on a subject because we have an iota of information. But it's also important to hear the matter from all sides before you make a determination on what your opinion will be, because your opinion may not even be in support of either side, you know. But sometimes we tend to formulate opinions before we've even heard, Mr. Bola, before we've even heard the side of people involved. We form our own opinion of matters.
Well, Duncan, it's not just hearing the side, you know. Sometimes we have not even examined what is being put before us. We didn't take time off to read, to study, to inquire. What is this? And what do they mean by that? We just hear something, and because of our biases and preconceived notions that we have, or because of what we hear another person say, because that person is my friend, or that person is whom I use as my mentor, and if they say this is bad, it is bad. And we just go about and we lab our mouths about it without even knowing what the issue really is. So the thing is, if you have a better knowledge or greater clarity, you can call. We'd like to hear you on what you think, what you see. If you do call, we don't want anyone to be too lengthy, but just give us your views. Whether we agree or disagree with you, that's your view of what you understand from the situation. And we always have to accept that sometimes in giving an opinion or a view, it is based on our knowledge of a situation. And in some instances, our knowledge may not be as in-depth as it should be. But whatever you say would allow us to think a little wider about what is happening. And before we take our first call, I just want to shout out Mr. Mills out there in Carriacou. If he's listening already, he's oftentimes tuned in, and let him know, Mr. Mills, you know, what we're working on behind the scenes is not forgotten. I'm very hopeful that by next week I should be able to give you good news.
Well, Mr. Bola, before we, and caller, just bear with us for a moment. It's a good thing that you brought him up because I was just informed that he has been hospitalized.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Yeah, I know we have a landline number for him, but if somebody could share with us his cell phone number,
so we can give him a call.
We can give him a call, that would be great, because he's one that always calls, always gives support, always such a cheerful person, you know. So we definitely want to spread some love. So let's take this caller on the line. Good morning, Miss. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi. Good morning, caller.
You hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you very clear.
Mr. Bola?
Sir, morning to you.
What you know the voice, eh?
Very well, very well.
I don't call to talk. I don't call to talk about what are you talking about, because me I have no idea in that.
Okay. Well, just listen. Tell us.
I just call because you're there. I want you to tell me and give me some idea in what me and you talk about.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't do that publicly on radio, but I have passed those information on to the relevant people.
Right.
I have not yet received
Okay.
any information to give you, except that at your parliamentary office,
Yeah.
the lady in there, if she has not contacted you yet, she will. Because I spoke to your parliamentary rep as well, and they had put me on to her in relation to some things they are working out for you. They're trying. In fact, the rep is trying
Well,
job-wise to do something.
Well, I ain't get no call or nothing.
Right.
Them type of thing.
But they will, because we have been in conversation up to last week.
Okay.
Right, and I'd remind her that she need to let you know what they're working on, so
Yeah.
you know you can settle yourself in.
Because I mean, this thing you're talking about with agriculture and this cocoa, I don't know
Information, right? So
I can't talk about that.
right,
because
so
I
listen,
know farmer.
listen.
But it's only what I could say towards that, and what I hearing is, it's up to the government if they want to mulch both of them. It's up to them.
Yes, government will do what they can.
Yeah, it's up to them. It's only that I could say, sir. But what you want to do, sir, after the program, call me now, sir.
Yes, he'll give you a call.
Right, sir?
Yeah, yes, he's going to give you a call.
Right, sir?
Yeah. All right. Guys, remember the number to call is 440-7377 if you are calling locally. If you're in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, it's 347-329-3101 and 440-7377 if you want to call via WhatsApp or send us a message. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Miss Duncan.
Hi, good morning.
And good morning to Mr. Bowler.
Good morning. Let me just tell you something before you start to talk, mister. Remember, he's not Andre Donald and the other man that they hear this morning. So the subject matter you want to be part of, don't talk about that on this station, eh?
No,
I just warning you.
No, sir, but my number is available and the counseling services
He's available. All right.
Now, Mr. Bowler and Miss Duncan, listen to this. The misinformation campaign by the three groups of people that make up the opposition to this government, which are the naysayers, the enemies of the state, and the enemies of progress. And there is no shortage of energy for them trying to destabilize this government. But you know something, Mr. Duncan? As I continue to look at the post and look at what they are saying, sometimes, do you know, I seem to understand part of it, you know. And let me tell you what is my rationale for saying that. 4 months now, the country is on lockdown, but we continue to pay wages and salaries in a timely manner. 4 months now, the country on lockdown. A stimulus package in the millions, assisting some too big to fail establishment to meet the payroll budget. You know, we continue to pay all our social beneficiaries on time, in a timely manner. As a matter of fact, going to the different communities, ensuring that there is no chance of them coming in contact with people who might be contaminated. Now listen to this. COVID, no deaths, no hospitalization, and all have recovered.
Just hold a minute, caller, please. Someone may get at you for saying no hospitalization. There was hospitalization. However, no one had to be put on the ventilators. They were not critically ill to go on the ventilators.
No, that's correct. I will go. Well, I'm transforming.
So there was some hospitalization, but not critically ill to go on the ventilator.
Yeah, well, now, yes, and what I should have said, based on where we are, you understand, is no hospitalization at this time.
At this time, okay, that qualifies it. Yes.
Yes. Now, Grenada have achieved the status of being the safest place in the world. COVID have exposed our country's true professional ability. And the COVID team, the COVID team, the police, they have shown us just that. Now we know that we have a professional police force that understands the duties and responsibility, and they cannot just carry it out, but they can express it to the people, making the people understand. And our medical professionals, Miss Duncan and Mr. Bowler, these folks have shown us how professional they are. And whilst Dr. Martin and Dr. Mitchell would have been on the front line, you understand, there is a lot of other people in the background. People like Dr. Donald Noel, Sister Humphrey, and all the other sisters, Sister Martin Charles, and all the other folks down in the General Hospital down there, that would have showed the true professional side and unbiased, you understand, in contributing to that. I want to thank all of them. So, Mr. Bola, the point I want to really make here is this. Give me a second. When we have achieved all of this as government, taking into consideration where Grenada was in 2013 when you all came into office, I'm telling you, the only thing left for these three groups of people to do is to get some arms and ammunition and try to destabilize the state. And so we have to expect that, but I'm glad to know that we have programs like that where we can put out the truth and the facts, you understand, and make people better understand. I will speak to the merger another time. Thanks for the time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your explanation. Thank you for being part of the program, because we oftentimes need people to say what they see, what they feel, what they are hearing out there, once it is verifiable and factual. So we will not be making any false statements.
All right, we have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Miss Duncan and Brother Bowler.
Good morning, sir.
I'm just calling to extend my gratitude to Hard Talk. I'm an old man. I thought my brain was going on ice, but you all had some guests on your programs that rejuvenated me, and I got young again.
I'm happy to hear.
In terms of the merger and the nutmeg and cocoa. Thank you all very much for sharing and bringing those people to teach us. And I hope a lot of people have been listening. Have a blessed day, and thank you all. Thank you all for the good job you all are doing.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for expressing. We are happy about what we were able to do.
All right, guys. And the lines are open. Remember, you're free to call, free to express, of course, in a respectful way, but you are free to express your opinion. What do you understand by the merger? What do you understand by what's happening with GCA, GCNA? We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan. Good morning, Mr. Bowler.
Morning to you, sir. How are you?
Yeah, Ms. Bowler and Mr. Duncan, I want to focus this one on racism. I'm going to know sometimes in life, we said Black Lives Matters as black people. But when you look at in our country, what you see, a black man in position, he deserves it. He can handle his position. But no, we black people, we're crying down our own color of our skin. We crying our own color of our skin, and we can see that man too black to be in the position. And when you look and see what happened in America, we say Black Lives Matter. Why do all life matter? And a man color of his skin is not something that should hinder him from achieving in life. Right? Not something that should hinder him in life. I want to be, once a man work to achieve something in life, we should support him. We should support him, and if we don't know what to do to achieve things in life, we go to the person and say, Mr. This and Mr. This. As a black person or as a white person, you achieve a lot. Could you give me the remedy? All right? And you could share the remedy. Instead of we try to support our people, support people when they achieve, we try to pull them down. So I want to say, let us get rid of this racism thing. All right? I against racism. I against it. But then we know we create over yes, white and black. But we black people, we fight now our own black people because they achieve little black people be in that position. And the other when you have black people crying down and saying people black and we black for ourselves. So Mr. Duncan, I want we great and black people. Let us show that out in the deepest part of the ocean. And let us support our brother, our sisters, and let us support everyone when they achieve things in life. We should reach out and ask them for the remedy why they achieve things in life. So Mr. Duncan, Mr. Bola,
you have a wonderful day yourself, and I think you're going along the correct lines to a certain extent. All life matters. I mean, not just black, every life. And in fact, I listened to a piece. This guy is from Ghana, lives in England. Eddie Grant, he's a singer. I mean, you might be too young to know some of the songs that he sang, Duncan, but he has some good songs. And he did a piece that a change is coming. And in his piece, he mentioned that we should even stop referring to each other as black. We are of African descent. Yes? Yes, the color of our skin. Because you see, when we try to categorize who is black, based on the shade that someone has, we try to determine whether he is black or not black. Yes? But it is, I think, we are of all African descent, and that's what we should focus on. And we should really, really, as the caller say, start from home. Even the Bible says we must take the beam from our eyes before we try to take the moth out of our brother's eye. And so if we don't allow change to start from within, we are going to continue to have these problems.
Mr. Bola, I don't want to say much on the issue of racism, because it's a very sensitive topic.
Extremely.
To a lot of people. But I will say this. The biggest affliction that we have in the Caribbean, in my opinion, and I want to stress on that, in my opinion, the biggest affliction that we have, it's not racism. It's colorism. And for a lot of people who don't understand what colorism is, it is basically what we are doing to each other here in Grenada. When someone of the same race as you sees it necessary to discriminate against you. And we have it a lot in the Caribbean. We have it a lot in Grenada, where someone who feels that you are not fit for the position, where somebody who believes that you are not entitled to what you are given. When we sit down and we call our brothers and sisters by derogatory names and refer to them in a derogatory manner, that's the biggest problem that we have. So how can we sit as a people and condemn another race for doing it to us when we do it to ourselves as a people? And this is not me saying that, oh, well, that's their excuse for doing it, because it is inexcusable. It's wrong on all forms. And in saying that, it means that colorism is also wrong. So when you have opposition members calling Dr. Mitchell that little black boy, we've heard it. When we look at our fellow Grenadians and call them stupid and idiots, when we do all of these things, it puts us in the same bracket as the people we are trying to fight against for our freedom and liberties. And that's really all I want to say on the issue, because it's very touchy. Everybody has their opinion on what is racism and who are racists and all of that. And I don't want to get into the mix of all of that. What I do want to say, as you rightfully said, Mr. Bola, it must start as home. You know, I listened to a clip the other day that was very powerful and very important. And that clip, I mean, it gave me cold bumps, Mr. Buller. It said that racists are not trying to kill out black people, you know, because they don't get as much leeway with killing us. You know what they get leeway with? Destroying the black families. Destroying the black families. And that's what we don't see. We don't see, and family is not just a mother and her children and their father, but families as in our community families. Families as in our neighbors, our neighborhoods, our villages, our countries, our societies. These black families are the things that they are, and they're using us to do it, eh? They are using us to destroy ourselves. So as long as we don't see that we must unite first as a black family before we start even protesting against racism, then we would go back to, all right, police stop killing black people, white people stop discriminating against black people, but then we still have the problem of black people discriminating against black people. We still have the problem of us not being able to unite as a people for betterment of our own race. And that is where we need to start. And that's just my opinion on the matter.
Well, your opinion is not a bad one. The African descents must learn to first unite, cooperate, and live peacefully with each other. And it is not correct, as you rightly say. We cannot support and we will not sit here and condone that what people of other races or other colors do to our people, the oppression that they put us through, and the disrespect in which they mete out to us. We can't agree with that. But we're saying at the same time, while we are demanding, as we say, justice and respect from them, we need to demand the same justice and respect from our own.
Yeah.
We continue to destroy our own. Young men or men in general continue to disrespect women of color, your wives, the mothers of our children. You know, we bring them out in the street, drag them, beat them, you know, all method, all, and it's not all men do it, but some do it. We need to change that. We need to come to the realization that if other people and other races must respect us, we must first respect ourselves.
Yeah.
Men continue, black men, to run up and run after each other with machete or cutlasses as we know them. We continue to go to parties and fete and go to places of enjoyment with knives and bows and axes and gun and everything in our waist, so that if another black brother just bump into you by accident, we're ready to put something inside of him and take his life. You know, we continue to sell dangerous and harmful substances to each other, to younger brothers and sisters, and destroy the future and the hopes of the family. So until we learn to respect ourselves and to treat each other with the same kind of respect and to have equity flowing among us as a black family, it would be difficult to demand it from others.
Yeah.
Because they look at us, they take example from how we treat each other, and they treat us in such way.
All right, we have another call on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, honey bunny.
Good morning, Miss
Good
Jacob.
morning, my sister Duncan. How you do, baby?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, and my wonderful, beautiful, handsome brother by your side.
How are you, Miss Jacob? I ain't there by her side. I'm distance away from her, Miss Jacob. I'm keeping my physical distance, you know, because of COVID and everything. We had to keep our distance. Yeah? Yeah? It's sad to hear, but you're feeling better today.
I'm okay.
You're okay. Thank God for that.
But Brother Bola, you know what I want you to find out for us and
Please.
teach us some history about that?
Let us know.
You know who come in Grenada and put all in bank, the first bank in Grenada. You know those bank in Grenada was only white people. I used to walk inside there. You're talking about the 40s, eh?
Yes.
Right,
Yes, that's what I've heard.
Eh?
That's what I've heard. I've heard that.
Yes, I heard it too. And it was Uncle Gary
Yes.
that make white people black person work in a bank. All those banks in Grenada had white people.
Yes.
You must find us for us and give us a little history about it.
Okay.
Let those young children that growing up there. And this kind of attitude, we have to forget that. Don't bring back that again. We have to move forward with that, Brother Bulla and
Yes.
Sister Duncan.
Yeah.
We have to forget that. Go have God in our life. God in our life. What are he going on there? I don't want to teach in Grenada now. I don't want to teach in Grenada. No. Uncle Gary don't get it out already. Leave it lay down. It done. We don't want it to come back again.
Yeah.
White fighting against black. And no. We no, this thing has to stop.
I agree.
Well, you have a good day, you and Sister Duncan. God bless you all, and I love you all.
Thank you. We love you too. You try and have a wonderful day.
And what? Let me tell you something. Next week, Friday, is my B-day.
Okay, we must take note. We must take note of that.
My Prime Minister, we Papa, I glad enough.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
73 years of age.
Ah, yeah. We hear you and you're going strong. We try and remember that and give you a big shout out on that day.
Yes.
All right, Miss Jacob.
10th of July is my B-day.
Okay.
75 years of age.
All right.
Yes. So thank you all very much. God bless you all, and I love you all.
Take care now.
too, Miss
Enjoy
Jacob.
today. All right.
Bye-bye.
You should take a note and make sure we don't forget.
We don't
next
forget,
week.
yes. Yes, Miss Jacob, don't let me forget. Call me and tell me during the week. All right, remind me. We speak almost every day, so don't let me forget, all right? Yeah, guys, the number to call is 440-7377 if you are calling locally. If you're in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, it's 347-329-3101. If you're calling on WhatsApp or sending us a message, it's 440-7377. Let's get involved in the conversation. Let's hear what you know about what's happening in your country.
Especially as it relates to the merger of the commodity boards and the liberalization and trying to bring greater economic benefit into the sector and ensuring that the people who work hardest, who are our farmers, that they get that opportunity once and for all to really generate more and to feel the full impact financially from the efforts that they have been making. We have said ours, we have said what we know, we have brought in people who have historical perspective of the whole thing, and they have given their views, and today we want to allow you an opportunity to say your piece. I mean, if you don't have anything to say, I agree with you, don't say nothing. But if you think you have an idea or you have an understanding of what the situation is, and you want to say something, or even if you want a little more clarity on an issue, we endeavor to try to help to bring you credible information. If we don't know or have the answers to what you're asking, we certainly will try to inquire for you, get to the people we believe that may have that information, and get back to you at some later date. But let's converse, let's just talk the issues. I mean, there are other issues that may be on your mind that you may want to share, and we do not prevent anyone. We just ask everybody who call to, if you're going to be speaking about any person, you're going to be mentioning any names, that you be careful what you say about people, that you always speak to people or about people with respect, even if you disagree with something that they've said or done.
Yeah.
Even if you have a different opinion, it doesn't necessitate that you become abusive and disrespectful. And we allow you to share your views. Make sure that what you say is verifiable, can be backed up with facts. And if it's an allegation, if you're hearing something that you think is worth sharing, but you're not very sure, you did not have the time, you didn't have the opportunity, or you couldn't find someone or the relevant people for verification, please use the word that it is alleged. Don't call and sound as though it is factual, because sometimes we do that. We are not sure. It's an allegation. It's something that is making the wrong, something that we heard. And we think, based on what that subject matter is, it is something that we think the public should know. Please make sure you say, well, it is alleged that XYZ is happening or has happened or so.
Okay, Mr. Bola, I have a question on the live video here. An individual is asking about the stimulus package for the month of June, May and June, and it has to do with hotel workers. I've been receiving a lot of questions regarding the stimulus package, and the person asking is asking if we're not answering this question because it's not the topic. But that's not the reason. The reason is because I cannot speak with authority on something that I don't have the answer to.
Well, we should say that, so
Right.
the person knows that.
What I do plan to do, however, to the person asking the question, is have a sit down with Ms. Chanel Andrew in the latter part of next week to address some of the issues that regarding the stimulus package, because there have been a lot of allegations flying around. And one thing I would fault government for is that they have not been very consistent with providing information all of the time, right? So I want to reach out to Ms. Chanel Andrews. I want to speak with her, and I'll try to get her in studio, because I want you guys to be able to call and ask your questions. I don't want it to be a one-sided interview. So I will bring her in to the person asking.
You're going to endeavor
to bring her in.
Sure
so we can discuss further the stimulus package, because from my understanding, there is a certain hotelier in Carriacou who on his radio program went at the throats of Ministry of Finance, because he was denied, his application for the stimulus package was denied. However, he failed to say why it was denied. And you see, and that's what we keep saying, Mr. Bola. No one asked the question, why?
Well, not no one.
Well,
but there are some instances, because you see, when you say no one, it means that we all just accept everything. No. We don't all accept everything. We do ask questions. But sometimes some people fail to ask the correct question.
The relevant questions.
You know?
So they didn't ask why. Why exactly did it happen? You know? Ask that question and receive an answer so that you can hear two sides of the story. Because if you're telling me that you were denied the access to the stimulus package, there must be a reason, right? Why you were denied. Because I mean, even of yesterday on social media, I saw a young lady posted her check from the government of Grenada for her stimulus package. And then we have to also remember, and I keep saying that it is people that's working in the Ministry of Finance. It's not machines. It is people. They have to take their time and ensure that they go through. And I know it's a hard thing to swallow, Mr. Bola, because you have a lot of people who are in need. And we may say, okay, well, we don't have the time. But they must take their time, because they must be accountable to the people. So every application that is sent in, they must scrutinize these applications to make sure that they don't make mistakes. Because, Mr. Bola, let one person get more than they're supposed to. Or let one person get 2 checks. You know, or let a mistake be made. We will hear about that. You know, we will hear about that, and we will not accept any excuses. That is how we are as a people. So we have to give them the benefit of the doubt, that they know what they are doing, and trust the process. Trust the process. Things don't just happen overnight. We have to accept that and understand it. Because if we were living in another man's country, like a lot of Grenadians are right now, in the U.S., that don't have access.
But they don't have a job, and they don't have an access to the stimulus package, the unemployment benefits, because many of them do not have, they are not regularized in the U.S., so so to speak. They are there as illegal immigrants. So they cannot go forward
and say anything.
To ask or to apply for the unemployment benefit. They're out of a job at the moment, and many of them, it may sound cruel to say, but it is factual that many of our own people now are in some of these cities living hand to mouth, because they don't and have not been working probably for the last 3 or 4 months. They still have rent to pay. They have to bring food to the house. Some of them have a family that is dependent on them, and they don't have an opportunity like we have here to collect any unemployment benefit. So while one quite understands the situation of a hurting man, a broken man, someone who has a family, dependent on what they are expecting from government, and you can barely wait more than a day to have it, more or less to wait for weeks, and that the Ministry of Finance have to push harder sometimes, and do a little more to reach people quicker. We have to understand the circumstances sometimes under which people work and how they work, and also appreciate the fact that we are in a situation where we can still expect, while some of our own brothers and sisters from our soil have no one to look forward to get anything. That doesn't make it right for the delays. I don't want anybody to misconstrue that. But
we have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, Mr. Boland.
Morning there.
Duncan, how are you doing?
We're good.
Well, I must really congratulate you for that program, I've been listening to you all during the course of the week, and I must say that program you had with the farmer.
Yes.
I can't remember his name, but you all had a fantastic program, and I believe there were a lot of history came out of that session, because a lot of young people, get to know some of these things for the first time.
Yeah.
I grew up within the agricultural sector. I grew up when there were about 5 estates surrounding me, So I know what it is about agriculture. Yes, I'm not really a professional in that area, but my experience, my father, my grandfather, and uncles and so had worked on the estate, so I know what it was, and I have seen downhill with the Cocoa and Nutmeg Association, as what I am seeing now. And the farmer was able to point out a lot of information so that our young people, because when you look at the age, look at the age, the great-grandfathers and fathers and so on, and these were people who bend their backs and try to pick up the nutmegs, and you see, the outcome very small, and, things not going as it should. But I don't want to lament more on that, but I believe I want to support the liberalization, because when you really look at it, how much you sell the nutmeg to the association, how much they sell it to the merchants over there, how much the merchants sell it out there, and so on. And when you look at it, our farmers are the ones that still behind, and we need to do a little more for them. And they too has to get up and speak out and make it, talk that, people will hear them and listen them and so on. Because we could talk for them, but they too have to get up and get. So I applaud that initiative. And then I just want to say that I heard about the backyard gardening, and I welcome that too, and I wish that people take full advantage in it and grow up, because having your little garden is a means of, your own local consumption, and, we do better. So I just want to say hats off, and that's my little contribution this morning. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Kola.
Great. Well, we thank you very much for your contribution. We appreciate. But just coming from what the caller said, many people who express the support for the issue of liberalization of the market most time tend to think that it means that different people can now export the raw material. But liberalization also give rise to the fact that we can have more value-added stuff. More people can get involved in the industry and not just necessarily to buy and have options to sell to different people out there.
And we'll break that down further, Mr. Bola, but let's just take this call. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning, morning.
Hi,
Morning,
good
sir.
morning.
Good morning, Mr. Bowler.
And how are you, brother?
Duncan.
Good morning.
Yep, yeah. I just, want to, first of all, show my appreciation to the program, educating persons and passing valuable information concerning the nutmeg issue and the cocoa issue. Also, I must commend the government and the Minister of Agriculture, getting two important persons, Mr. Leonard St. Bernard and Mr. Delbert Bayborn, the program, passing valuable information. But again, I must say again that, as I said earlier, I used to work with the factory, the plant, with Mr. Webb, and, so on. And I can tell you is that I remember cases where when Mr. Webb approached the chairman of the GTNE and said, well, listen, we have to work together, we can't be exporting our nutmeg and mace overseas in caucus bag. Let us turn over in other products. And I remember the chairman tell Mr. Webb, say, don't come to Grenada with this kind of type of talk, because Grenada farmers used to the caucus bag mentality, and he coming to create problem. Understand me? And so when I see what is taking place, as I said earlier on, I do support the government move, because I've been there. I work with Mr. Webb, I work with Mr. Leonard St. Bernard, and I even still do work with the present owners. And I can tell the present owners are having a tough time also. I can't call the names, but maybe one day they will be a part of your program also. So I am telling you, good move, and I must commend the program and the government educating persons and let them know what is taking place in this country concerning the nutmeg industry. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Welcome.
And have a good day, all right?
Yes, you too.
You as well. Mr. Bola, there are a lot of ways that we can turn this product that we have, this black gold, as they call it, into something great. Why are we so comfortable? And this is for the people who believe that the liberalization is going to disenfranchise farmers. Why are we so comfortable in just picking up that raw product, sending it overseas, so that company or whoever it is overseas can now take that product and make all the things that we should be producing here? The oils, the sprays, the lotions, the medicinal uses, all of these things.
See, like when we started this morning talking about misinformation and how people gravitate towards it and spread it, a lot of things are traditionalized for us, The mentality of I have 5 acres of cocoa or nutmeg or a combination of both, and I harvest, and once a week I go to the depot or the pool, as we call it, the receiving stations. I sell, I get some cash. People have become comfortable. We have been taught as a people sometimes not to aim too high. Even our parents at home, in growing us up, say to us, don't hang your heart where your hands can't reach. And while there is value and wisdom in that, and in trying to ensure that our children and those who we have the responsibility to nurture and to grow and to teach, that they do not try to achieve things the wrong way, because they don't have the ability, and they may have to turn to other ways that are not very principled to have them. It is, good to let them know. But at the same time, we should not say things to our children that restricts the energy and the thinking and the innovative being to stay one way. I think we have another caller. So let's get that.
Good morning, caller.
Miss Duncan, can I have a minute on this issue, please?
Sure. Go ahead.
A few seconds. Yeah. No, Mr. Bola and Miss Duncan, and to all our listeners, and especially those who are farmers, I believe we can safely say that the different associations have failed the members, cocoa and nutmeg. Now, back pay was a yearly staple. No more. It has all but evaporated. And there are times when the association don't have cash to buy the farmer's produce. And all of that is happening while the produce continue to fetch top prices on the international market. Mr. Bola, the liberalization, I believe, when the whole thing have been explained to farmers, they will get on board. It's just a few loudmouths who are out to confuse farmers. But the ordinary farmer understand and know that something is wrong with how the business is managed. And there is no light at the end of the tunnel for them. And farmers are quite prepared to listen to what's been offered, because to continue along that path is going to be the death of the industry, and they should be the ones making the decision, not the board. Why is the board so scared? I believe, based on the state of this association, you would believe that the board, who have the interest of the farmers at heart, would have quick to listen and say, well, yeah, and they may have the issues they would like to see addressed. You know what I mean? But I don't know why, Mr. Bola, they are against farmers getting a better price for their produce. I cannot understand. You are not in a position to give them anything. You have nothing to give, and now something is offered. I cannot understand. And farmers must asking themselves the question, when you don't have money to buy our produce, you go to the government. So what the government is saying now, listen, this situation cannot continue to happen. So what is there now is not working. We know that. Let us put some new proposal forward to see how we could benefit you all. Yeah. And farmers will get on board. Generally speaking, there are those that have their own political bias. They know these are failed associations. And we cannot continue that way. We will not continue that way. You cannot come to government to get taxpayers' money to pay your wage bill, for people to run a failed establishment. Thank you for the time, sir.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Welcome. Yes. So getting back to where we were, I've been saying that, we have become very traditionalized in our ways. Our grandparents did it that way and it worked. Our parents did it. Our great-grand did it. It's something that has been handed down. It's a family recipe. It's something that has been with us. And that is all true. And one understands the need to preserve what has been a family legacy. But at the same time, the world and everything else is changing around you.
Yeah.
And if you do not change with it, if you do not allow yourself to be up to date and up to speed with the way things are happening, you will definitely be left behind. And in those industries, we have been left behind. We are at the stage now where if we do not change, and in the nutmeg strategy that has been developed here in Grenada, there's a statement, there's a paragraph there that speaks about the fact that Hurricane Ivan may have given to us an opportunity that we had lost to sort of change the ways in which we did things, to change the dynamics that was around, and we failed to utilize that opportunity. Now COVID-19 is offering us that same opportunity again for a second time, and maybe we should really grab onto it with both hands. Now it may be difficult for some people to conceptualize what is going to happen at the end of the day if there is a merger and liberalization of the market, but like everything else, we have to take time to teach people. There are some people for 40 years, they have been a farmer selling their produce to the association, and that's all they know. They have never given a second thought to there may be a better way, or there may be another way where I can get greater income. If we change the method of operation in the association, it may give us a chance to own more than we have been owning before. I mean, look how for example, the sauce-up industry has become revolutionized, and it's probably now surpassing nutmeg as an individual crop and cocoa, or probably even the earnings were a combination of both of them. The market out in the US alone for fresh sauce-up is a $300 million market. Grenada has the opportunity now, and probably is just coming close to supplying about half of the demand. So we can probably be seeing $150,000 being turned around in our economy as a result of sauce-up. But again, we're selling it fresh. We are not doing many other things. But the point I really want to make about that is that before now, a lot of the sauce-ups that we own, I agreed now that a lot more people have planted. There are a lot more fields now, but people used to have a couple of trees around their houses before. Used to be sold to the traffickers to go down to Trinidad with it, sometimes at 50 cents a pound, 25 cents a pound in those early days. Now a farmer can easily get $2.50, $3, $4 in some instances per pound because it's going to the US. Now, if new markets weren't opened up, we would continue to just rely on Trinidad and Tobago, rely on the traffickers. As a matter of fact, there are very few traffickers now that can get a pound of sauce to bring to Trinidad, because everybody's going for the higher price. The market has opened up. With the cocoa and nutmeg, it may not be as easy and as it is with sauce-up, because sauce-up is kind of unregularized in a way. It's not regulated, The nutmeg and cocoa is a little bit more regulated. But of course, the association and the farmers will have their say, will have an opportunity. Suggestions are being brought forward that, look, a licensing authority must be created. So it's not just all and sundry jumping in. Private sector people who has the money can now come in and not just buy and ship, but as I was saying, can do a lot of secondary products, can do value added right here in Grenada, which will provide more jobs, which will extend the lines of what we can do with those products. Since Diamond Cocoa started, in fact, before Diamond Cocoa Factory owned by the association, we had the chocolate factory in Hermitage. It was this guy who came from abroad who subsequently died some years ago, unfortunately, Mott Green. And that has taken off. The Grenada cocoa is legendary, a chocolate rather, around the world. Any part of Europe you go, you can find it. Now we have Juve coming from Diamond. We have Belmont Estate doing some. We have another gentleman in Victoria from that estate, Bouquet Estate, I think. Oh, and not Bouquet, wherever they, in an area referred to as Crayfish Bay. But his chocolate sells in Trinidad. He has inherited the property, the lands from his grandparents, but he's Trinidadian by birth, Grenadian by descent. Now has his citizenship in Grenada, kept the lands, continued to work it, don't sell his cocoa beans to the association, but made an arrangement with the association that they can grind and crush his beans for him at Diamond, which they are doing. There's that kind of cooperation, whatever he pays to have it done. And he takes that grind stuff now, as far as I understand, in his molds, bring it down to Trinidad, do the final product, package it, and it's sold on the Trinidad market. He can't have enough. He needs more than what he can, produce presently. So, these are just a few examples of how far we can get if we open up our minds. And some of us who do not have the skill to open our minds wide enough, there are so many young and intelligent people out there. Just this morning I was listening to Wagiti to segue a little bit from the conversation, but to show how innovation and forward thinking can change things. As we know, Wagiti, who oftentimes run almost once per month, mega force promotion, that's what they call them, I think. Almost once per month would have a bingo for $50, $60, $70, $80,000 at the national stadium. People would jump in their cars, the buses come down to the stadium and play. Because of COVID-19, we know the restrictions that we couldn't have mass gathering and so. And they have Sati said over the last 6 weeks, and he had a vision and put some young people to work on it for him. And tomorrow night they will be running a test, doing a free bingo game virtually. You can purchase your card and play online on your phone, on your computer, on your iPad, wherever you are in the comfort of your home, in a bar, so you can win money, right? They're doing a trial run. And what is interesting is now that is opened up to the region. Even people in the US can play.
Wow.
So I'm saying, just like this man as an individual could dream up due to COVID-19. And someone has said, in every opportunity there are challenges, because he would have challenges with what he wants to do.
Of course.
But they have to deal with it, they'll overcome it. But also in every challenge there are opportunities. And COVID-19 has brought a challenge, especially where we cannot mass together in big crowds. We cannot gather. So a lot of the activities that we were doing, our party, the new National Party, is preparing to do its General Council within this month, July. But we know we cannot mass gather. So it have to find a way. In fact, we are almost there 100% in how we are going to be able for all our delegates to participate in the General Council and make their contributions and talk about the issues that confront our party without gathering together. Yes? So we have to be innovative in our ways. We cannot be traditionalized. We cannot be stuck. Tradition has its place. Yes? And we need really to preserve, as I have said, things that we have done well traditionally. But the time now demands that we look at the situations before us with different lenses. Certainly not a political lens. Because in the minds of a lot of people who you hear jumping and saying, we will fight and we will struggle, and where is the struggle? Why is there a need for a fight? That we go stand resolutely with the farmers for what? To prevent them from getting greater economic benefits for their labor? That's what you want to stand resolutely with the farmers for? Or do you want to get and become part of the thing, not because you feel you can get some political leverage, but because you genuinely believe that farmers can do better if there is this merger and liberalization, and say to them, look, while we are doing this, I am not in favor of that happening or the other happening, and come with constructive ideas as to how we can build on what is put forward, make it better so that the greater good can be done for farmers and for the Grenadian economy. And that's the way we have to think.
And you know, Mr. Bola, that's just one story of using the challenges that we face now to keep people involved in what is going on. Sunshine Promotions, as I understand, which
Sunshine
is
Promotions.
Judah, they also have a virtual Soca Monarch. You know, you buy your tickets online, you log in, and you enjoy. You see, we have to find innovative ways to deal with the situation. And as we said before, there will be challenges. Nobody just gets an idea. Well, I shouldn't say nobody, because it probably has happened for one or two people. But really
most
and
ideas.
truly,
Just say most ideas.
you know, most ideas that you get, they don't just hit off the bat and are perfect as soon as you launch them. There are challenges. There may be successes. There may be failures.
There is what we refer to as teething problems every time you try
problems.
You go through with something new. But come on. We have overcome so many things before.
Yeah.
And we will continue. Because, as I said, we have a lot of young minds. And sometimes we talk about that barrier between the seniors and the juniors, the aged and the not so aged. Those of us who have wealth of experience from the way we did things before, and those who are coming in with the technology with new ideals.
Yeah.
We have to find that place where we can marry both. I'm not saying that those who have had the traditional way of doing things and the experience and the knowledge and the skills should be locked out completely. Neither am I saying that the entire thing must be left open to the young, intelligent, brave people who are prepared to venture out and to do things differently. But there must be a marriage somewhere, a coming together of what was done before, understanding of what was done before and why.
Yeah.
And also open minds as to what the possibilities are moving forward.
But it's funny, Mr. Bola, because I want to believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that over time, over history, records would show that for most things that led to the development of a people, the modernization of a people, there was some fight or some struggle or some uproar against it. But then people in time saw, and I'm sure that people can look back into history and say, let's take the communications sector, right? When we wanted to remove the monopoly from Grentel, and open or liberalize the market. Grenadians I was just a child at that time, but I remember we were all up against it.
Don't say all. You keep saying all, and it is not
we
true.
were most people were against it
because they did not understand. Right,
it.
and they didn't take time off to listen and to open up their vision to see what the possibilities are.
Yeah.
I remember those days when you made a call to a relative in England or the US or Canada, it was $7, $8, $9, $10, sometimes $12 per minute.
Yeah.
And the most you could have spoke, you will buy a card. Even when cell phone came around for the first time. When I called you, I had to pay a certain sum and you had to pay a certain sum, even though you were just answering my call. So both of us were paying. Look at what it is now today. We have what we call over-the-top services where we can call each other even in foreign land without paying a cent by using WhatsApp and other platforms without costing us anything. That happened because of liberalization of the sector.
Yep.
Look at what is happening now. The government is fighting to liberalize also now the energy sector. And that is where Green Lake and so comes in. And there are people who are fighting that and thinking that government is interfering with a company that is working well and doing well and contributing well and everything. And not seeing the bigger picture that if we get into renewables, that it's going to cost us far less, a fraction of what we're paying now for energy, but also that our environment and country would be safer and better.
Absolutely.
We have to open our minds and accept and look
Yep.
and trust, as you see before.
Because, my vision, I have my vision. I see what I want for my people. And that's what government has to do. See what they want for their people and where they want their country to go. But we have to also trust their vision. We have another call on the line. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I know it's kind of late, but I didn't get the chance to call in before, but I wanted just to comment on that, the same thing to do with the farmers and the merge of the boards. And I think that it's a problem that we have in the Caribbean because, when I think this reminds me a lot of what happened to us way back when, quite a few other countries like Canada and Britain were trying to get us to federate.
Yes.
And the federation it didn't mature simply because most people were greedy. Everybody wanted to keep their power and nobody wanted to share, even when it was going to cut down the cost significantly. And this happened more than once because there was talk about Little 8 and, and even when we have seen that things like the what we have with our court system now with the
CCJ and things.
At the moment, and also the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. All those have been so successful. We seem to have lost sight of that. That we only could learn to get together and work together, we would do a lot better. And I really hope that the farmers get sensible and look at this in a more sensible way and stop being, well, I don't think the farmers are greedy. I believe maybe some of the people on the board just like their power and position and don't want to lose that. But, in the end, when you look at what the country is going to lose, because I think back of when Mr. Webb was there and made his offers and so on, and the way they were arguing this point, I thought at the time, I said, but it's very selfish and narrow-minded, because this was a man who came from Montserrat.
Montserrat, yes.
I can't remember it was during the when they had the volcanic problems there, but he came here, and I consider him a brother because he's in one of the members of the of our this community in the Caribbean and Windward Islands, and he was willing to use his expertise to be a part of our experience, and they just would not give him the opportunity to do anything by just starving him with the products, and I thought it was pretty selfish, because what was there could have been changed so that he could have got the raw material. And I always remember just after that asking one of the members about the board, and they actually said they were actually getting a machine that was going to produce nutmeg oil. And when I asked about that a few months later, what I found out was that yes, they were producing the oil, but it was so expensive to produce the oil that they could not market it.
It was a very primitive machine that they got that was breaking down all the time.
Like, exactly. So you see, but sometimes selfishness does not pay. So anyhow, I know it's we're out of time, so I just wanted to say what I thought. Thank you.
All right,
thank you so much for your contribution, and feel free anytime, because I believe that this conversation will prolong. We may not necessarily deal openly with the topic if it's not absolutely necessary, but the conversation, I think, will continue until we really have some kind of settlement as to the way forward. So people like you who have independent views on the issues, please feel free to call us at any time and share your views.
All right. Mr. Bola, well, we have come down to the end of the program. We are out of time. But, of course, as per usual, interesting conversation. We thank all of the callers who called in and shared their views, shared their opinions with us. We urge you to continue calling, simply because for us, it's not about the amount of views that we get. And, a lot of people tend to look at our social media page and say, well, that little bit of people are watching the program, that program will be no good, But it is about the information that we provide and how many people that information can reach. We are not about coming and sitting here for the hype of an issue or to help with the propaganda. A lot of people are doing that already. I listen to Shaggy sometimes in the morning, and the calls that I hear coming in of people just saying all sorts of things that they have no knowledge about. And the thing is, they do it over and over, day after day after day, and they don't seek to try and find out what the correct information is or what the right information is. And that's what we are here to do, to provide that information.
Having said what you said, I was listening to a program, and a guy called in and said, well, with this present thing that's going on, I feel I must say something on it. And I was like, you feel you must say something, listening. And he went on, the host allowed him to talk, and he went on and talked. Not that I have something that I can contribute or I must say. He felt, there's a topic, there's something in the air, and he feel he must say something. We must not talk because we feel we must say something. I mean, there are times when you're put in a position where you ask a question and you have to give a response. I've been on several programs, and when questions are being posed to me, if it is not in an area that I have knowledge or information on, I oftentimes say, this is what I know, but I cannot go any further, or I do not have any information on that. Let me have it checked out, because we are not the repository of all knowledge. There are some things we may have very, very good ideas on. We may be very competent in a certain area and can speak exclusively on certain things. But there are other things that we may have to learn. We may have to research. We may have to get other people to assist us with. And so we must not speak because this is the matter of the day. We must speak when we know and be confident that what we're saying is correct. And that's what we urge people to do. research. And I've said that, even the farmers, even today, if you are not so technologically inclined, because a lot of people say, oh, this computer and this thing, it's for young people. And we have young people all around us all the time. We have children, we have grands, we have nieces and nephews, we even have great-grands. And some of them 5-year-old, they are so efficient with the gadgets.
Yeah.
They can help us research. They can go online for us. They can help us with information. If we don't feel comfortable calling a radio station or going into a meeting and asking a certain question, do it within the confines of your home and your family. Almost everything now you can Google. Not everything that you Google may give you accurate information, but you can get an insight into things. So I urge people to open up your mind to what is out there, listen, ask questions, ask the right question, ask the whys or the why not, ask what will be the benefit or what will be the disadvantage. Educate yourself. So when you take a stand and you make a decision, it can be informed decision. It can be something that you can stand by.
Absolutely.
And believe you me, the government interest is to help Grenada, help this economy, help the farming community. Trust your government. Get your information. Make the right choices. Have a very good day today. God bless you.
All right, guys, and we have come to the end of our program. In whatever you say and whatever you do, be safe and be secure. As we say here every day, we want to be talking with you and never about you. Please do enjoy the remainder of your day.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.